All right, guys, welcome today. This is your old pal CHH. You're watching Planet CHH, and I am really thrilled. I've got the man, the myth, 3C Films, Chris, with me today.
Oh,
Chris has
thank you
got
so
his Chucky back there. Everything's one
Yeah.
thing I like about you is you always seem very organized.
Oh, thank you.
You
Yeah,
know?
I don't know. Before I became a YouTuber, I really wanted symmetry and some sort of like, I don't know. I just feel like it's pleasing on the eyes to watch on screen.
It is. You
Yeah.
got your lights
But I
going on.
love your setup though. I all the horror stuff in there. I was trying to tell you before we got started that I found you, I think one of your videos came up on TikTok and you just have this massive Freddy Krueger collection. And I was just jaw to the ground, like, oh my God, I want everything he has.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about this is kind of how we're here today, Chris. So I was watching one of your because I've been subscribed to you for a while, and I was
Oh,
watching one of
thank
your
you.
videos and you were said it was Halloween time, and you were kinda redecorating
Oh,
your
yeah.
Tonight Show set, which I love so much, right?
Thanks. Yeah.
And I remember I just commented like, "Dude, it looks dynamite," and sure enough, I looked at my phone and I got a reply from you, and you were like, "I like your setup too," and I was like, "Wait a minute, Chris knows me?"
Oh,
And it just
yeah.
goes to show, Chris, you never know who's watching.
Never know, dude.
You
Never
know what I
know.
mean?
Yeah, especially with the way the internet is, because I'm not sure how long you've been starting or how long you've been doing things, but like platforms like TikTok or Reels or even Shorts now, bring it to that. You just find people. Back then, it used to be you had to search for somebody with your common interest. Now, the algorithm knows people that you just like have things in common with. So your stuff has popped up a lot. And like I said, I always just get so fascinated by everything that you have.
That's crazy. Do you remember what it was that you saw from me?
I think you were showing off a rare Freddy Krueger like prop. I don't know if it's like an official one or you had it professionally made. I think it was one of them was the like the Dream Child baby. One of them was that. And then
Yeah.
another one is you were talking about the VHS of Nightmare on Elm Street: The Dream Child is like the only one that has the unrated cut, and I never knew that.
Right.
That was like something I never even knew, that the unrated cut is only on the VHS, and that made me want to get on eBay and try to find it because I was like, all my life, I think I've
Yeah,
yeah,
that's it,
see that
pal.
all my life, I feel like I've only seen. Made me think, did I only see the censored version then?
Yeah, dude, the, uncut I always tell people, Chris, if you watch the uncut version of part 5, brother, it goes up a full star. I
Oh,
swear to
that
God.
much. And I
I
already am a
swear.
fan of it. I other than maybe Freddy's Dead, I'm like, I think Freddy's franchise has been the
It's
most consistent out of a lot of other franchises out there in terms of quality, in my opinion. Because I
I
feel like they
agree,
get so
yeah.
inventive and cool and fun with all the dreams and whatnot. And I'm just begging for a new Freddy Krueger movie one day.
Oh, ain't we all, man, but, this is the interesting thing about you, Chris, and I don't know how many interviews you do because
Not
obviously,
many.
you're always at the grind, so I don't know. I'm gonna learn probably as much as my audience, and guys, if for some reason you're a viewer of mine and you don't know who Chris is, 3C Films is just you're one of those big channels, and for
Oh,
me,
thanks.
I don't remember this is the interesting thing about you that's so fascinating. I don't remember a time where you were, quote, unquote, "a small channel." You always
Oh,
whenever I found you, you just were
I was
like a
just
big
there.
you're a big channel, and that's fascinating to me. So when I
Oh
when
man,
I when I got in touch with you to talk to you, I was going back to your videos, and it looked like you started around
2016.
2016. Now from the start, Chris,
Hmm.
I can see how you've become so successful.
Oh,
You from the start, your stuff looked incredible.
oh,
You have gotta be I don't you don't have to get too personal if you don't want to, but I
sure.
just have the feeling you have to know a lot about lighting, shooting, and stuff like that because all your stuff from the start looked
Oh,
you were
thank you.
miles ahead, especially during that time, Chris, because that was a transitional period
Mhm,
of filming in the YouTube world. A lot
mhm.
of people were still setting the phone up on a
Oh,
cabinet like
yeah.
me, and some people were creeping into that quality, and you look like you had the know-how. Is that a safe assumption?
Somewhat. I would not call myself tech savvy at all, especially now. There's things I would love to do more of, and my own knowledge and dedicating time to learn that is stopping me. But back then, I had just like I've always been fascinated with cameras, DSLR. I knew when I wanted to do YouTube, I wanted to be a DSLR kind of guy, and that's what I use to this day. It's what I'm live streaming with you right now, and but yeah, but for my first, like, I don't know, I want to say 10 videos. And if you go back on my channel now, those aren't even the earliest videos. I decided to
You axed
private
out the
the,
old ones?
yeah, just because then it just gets a little too, it's like, oh man, this guy was really trying. It's like that thing where you had to pretend you were talking to an audience when you didn't have an audience, back.
Same, same.
So, what you see now is what I allow to see as like my lowest point there. But like, yeah, I started off with just the whatever iPhone was current in 2016. That was the thing, using the audio from that small little studio apartment that was like $500 a month. Um, yeah, so there was plenty of research that went on, like I searched videos about like, oh, how does lighting work and all that, and make the bang out of your buck and stuff like it. So although thank you for the compliment and all that, it's really like I didn't have anything like super knowledgeable that put me ahead of the game. It was just dedicating the time back then to know, and looking up videos about, what's the best way to make this look good, look nice and whatnot. I'm as basic as it comes when it comes to editing and lighting and video, in my opinion. I
Well,
would
yeah,
love
your
to
stuff,
do
yeah.
more.
And I want to talk more about the stuff you're doing right now, but let's go back to the beginning because this is all a mystery to me. So, like, for you to start around that time, what was it? You strike me as the kind of guy, just on the little conversation we had. You probably were thinking about doing YouTube for some time. Am I right about
Oh,
that, or
yes.
was it a? Tell me about
So,
that, and what got you into that?
yeah, so I was, like I said, I always consider myself average in every aspect out there, whether it's sports, education. So, education wise, I was a B, C student, the occasional A
Right.
thrown in there, and I was just always teeter tottering between what to do with life. And so it got to the point where, graduate high school, and then you lose like 90% of your friends when you graduate high school. I did not even know that. People go off in their own ways, do all their kind of stuff, and you're just like, what do you do now? So I enrolled it in college, and man, my first day in a big college, like the movie rooms where like the seats are like lined up like a stadium, and the one teacher there, I
Yeah.
felt so out of place. And the first day also, they tell you what you're going to learn the whole year. They go through the syllabus and all that, and I was like, I am
Gulp.
not so. Yeah, I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. This is not for me. And so I did the thing where you took a year off to just work and figure things out. And you could get stuck in that route. You could end up just never going back to education or doing anything like that. But I was miserable in the job I had. I just went to work every day so mad and upset and angry. And when you're in that type of place at your work or whatever, it forces you to think of another option. And I thought of YouTube, but I didn't think of it as in like I'm gonna make a career. I'm gonna make a living off of this. I needed to do something that was gonna make me like
You needed an outlet.
an outlet happy. And I'd always been fascinated with movies, like I'm sure like all of us. And so, like, at one point I thought I was gonna be an actor. That wasn't gonna happen. I want to be a director, I want to be a writer. And so ended up on just talking about movies on YouTube. But so yeah, it was always in me, and it took like a whole year of just having it in my mind of like, do it, start it, until I just finally put it into action.
Were there any inspirations? Were you
Oh yeah,
watching?
man. I mean, so if we're talking YouTubers, like, yeah, like the Chris Stuckman, Jeremy John's definitely like big ones out there. But I was also a fan. I don't know if any of these names will sound familiar now, but there was a guy named Peter Rawlis, and he would do a show called Movie Buzz, and that was kind of like a show I really liked watching, where he just every other day of the week he would just tell you what movie news was happening. And I loved that. And then he'd like quit, I don't know, sometime later. And I was AMC Movie Talk, things like they're just channels where it would be them talking movies. I just enjoyed uh the talk of movies, whether it was a review or a trailer and whatnot. I was always fascinated with it, and that I felt like maybe I could put my hat in the ring, and thankfully it worked out.
Now you talk about some of the people that you like and they dropped off. Did that ever concern you getting into this? Like,
Definitely.
why are people dropping off?
Well, I do remember with Peter Wallace, he mentioned, because I think some people, well, him specifically, he was like just doing it as a hobby. I don't know if he was getting paid at the time, because YouTube was weird. It wasn't like a career thing. It was just like, oh, I could get people watching me. I remember he was someone that was like, he had college and he got his degree, and he's like, well, it's time to get a big boy job. I can't do this forever. And I don't know. I think some people like either have one foot, holding on to YouTube, and the other one holding on to the safety net, and you just have to take the leap into it. So like if for some reason I got canceled today or something, I don't know what I'd do, because I have all my chips into YouTube and what I'm doing here. I
Right,
would be
right.
terrified. But I feel like some people just aren't ready to take that leap to make this like their only safety net, which I guess is smart.
So, I haven't been able to see you mentioned that you've kind of cut off some of your older video or you privated some of those older videos. Paint me a picture, because obviously I can't see these,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Paint
They
me a
they
picture of what we're
they were
looking at.
actually what I wanted to do now, but I did not have the camera talking skills, the charisma I've kind of built up, the persona I've built on my channel, the editing as well, the like even figuring out how to decent mic to be able to do stuff like this took me a long time. So it was just
Same.
very poor quality things. I was like, this is so embarrassing. I just gotta get it off. But it was talking about movies. I think it was like it was just when they announced that like Spider-Man was coming to the MCU, and I was a big Spider-Man fan, so I was like, I gotta
Sure.
talk about this. So I'm just there in in my kitchen with the mic talking about it, and it's just so painfully awkward. I was like, I have to stop this.
Yeah. So I was looking on your channel earlier today, just kind of prepping for this. The videos that you kind of start with, it looks like you had gotten the big, what do you call those lights? They're not ring lights, but you had like the big
Oh,
umbrella lights and stuff like
yeah,
that.
I have those because I just again you just look up on Amazon studio lights and you pick what you can afford, and those served me well. In fact, I still use them to this day on my main studio.
Yeah.
I have them bolstered up onto the walls now instead of just having them on the ground. But yeah, like some stuff works for you, you just stick with it. I'd love to upgrade it, but that all takes time and stuff, and I just hate to like then waste money into something that doesn't work.
So, so when you start doing YouTube video, let me ask you this, because
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm assuming as you said you were big into movies, and I was watching one of your videos today, an older video where you kind of said that horror is either your favorite genre or maybe your second favorite genre. Where are you at with that today? I mean, obviously it's
Well,
still been part of your
horror,
channel.
I guess honestly, it didn't take until I started doing this channel that I realized horror is my favorite. Like I've always dipped my toes in all the genres I like. I do like me like the A24 dramas, a serious film, Oscar worthy film stuff like those performances. I love the action movies, comedies. But it
Sure.
wasn't until like I really like started doing this channel. I was like, man, I love horror. I have so much of a knowledge of it, and the community is great. And like
They're
I guess
rabid,
that's what
Chris.
that I really liked also is the community of horror feels so different than the community of any other genre. So it was like when I started talking about horror movies on here and I felt like so connected to people. I was like, man, people get what I mean. Like I thought years of watching movies like Leprechaun and Nightmare on Elm Street and all that was like
Like a
such a like
weirdo,
a shameful waste because it's like, oh, they're not. I know they're not good movies, but they're so fun and they meant so much to me as a kid.
right?
Um, but like if you're looking back at like where my stardom happened, it was years of talking to nobody. And that's the one like big piece of advice I would give to people now, like who are starting, is like you can't just review stuff. There's 1,000 people just reviewing. You have to
Thank you.
build you have
I
to
say
build
this all the time.
a credibility to like why should I listen to you? Like what is it about you that would make it interesting? And so the thing that kicked it off for me, and it'll be hard to get the poster off, but I started talking about the 2019 Child's Play remake. And as we know as horror fans, big Chucky fan base, a lot of lovers of Chucky out there, and for some reason, nobody wanted to talk about that movie online at the time. For obvious reasons, they didn't want a remake, and they weren't getting Brett Dorff. Like it had obviously all the makings to be like against the fandom, and
Sure.
I was just the one little outcrier online. I'm sure there was others too, but I was the one vocal one on there going, let's give it a chance. It might be good. And that actually is what helped me like blow up the channel, is like just trying to be positive and like open-minded to the idea of the 2019 Child's Play remake. So like if you do go back to the history of my channel, those are the videos you'll see get weirdly bigger numbers than anything else.
So let's stop right there for a second.
Yeah,
So you're creating content. You start to notice. Do you,
nothing's
you
working.
start have you probably have an average viewers, and how often are you uploading at this time? Is it
I
a
was
couple
only
times?
uploading movie reviews. So whatever movie was coming out that weekend, I figured the way for like regular people who aren't on press lists and all that, like through websites like advancedscreening.com, or there's a company called GoFobo, good to look up if you're in a major city, they most likely hold early screenings. And that's how I was doing it. I would go wait in line for to see the latest, I don't know, Jason Statham movie early and then
Mhm.
review it. And I'd average like 200 views, and maybe 50 of those were just me checking on the video.
And what was like during that? Like, this is the kind of thing too. You talk about a lot of people get discouraged and they say, "Man, this ain't for me. I'm not getting the," because we live in a give me
You need
now
satisfaction
society.
now, yeah.
You had to have had those moments where you were
Oh,
like, "Man,
yeah.
I'm putting in all this time. I'm going driving to the theaters. Like, what the hell am I doing?" Did
I
you ever
would
have those moments?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was like, "What am I doing? I'm really gonna be a YouTuber?" Like, because even then, people will say it now, "Oh, it's too saturated. There's too many influencers, too many that." People were saying that in 2016,
They
2010,
were. They
people were
were.
always like, "Ah, it's too late to join YouTube. The famous ones already got in." And it's like, there's some kid right now starting that's gonna be the next Mr. Beast by in like 5, 6 years, you know?
Yeah.
Um but yeah, it was very discouraging, and the only thing that kept you going is that one video that got a little bit above your average. So for every like 200, 100 view video, I would review the odd movie no one else reviewed, and that one would get 600 views, and I'd be like, okay, this is the step. This is that little breadcrumb to keep you
Yeah.
going.
So you talk about you credit Child's Play to an extent to helping get you to.
Oh yeah.
Now tell me about that. Like, what take me through the mindset of you were covering it. Were you covering it kind of like in a news aspect, or like what was your take on that at that time? Were you
I am
experimenting with your
I
videos?
think I was wanting to experiment because I was seeing that the reviews just weren't doing it, and like I said, I wanted to get into it because I was watching movie news people. I like just the commentary on news. Uh, like I wanted to be 20% give you the news and keep you informed, and then 80% be my thought, my kind of jokes around there, like just the entertainment value of bringing you the news is what I wanted to be. So I was like, I got to get into that, and so when Child's Play came out, like I'm a big Chucky fan. I love the Chucky movies, and I've always been excited for the remakes and reboots, even if they're gonna be crap. Like I just get excited the idea that they're trying again, and I was like, I'll just do that. I'll just be honest about I don't hate this idea. I think it could be cool. Let's and then I like got that's where like my personality started to come out because then I would speculate. I could be like, they could do this, they could do that, and apparently other people liked hearing that, and that went big. And then I just sort of I don't want to say milked it, but I definitely took it out to an extent where any little update, like this person was added on, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that, and I don't know what it was, but I was just hitting all the right notes that people were doing it, and that's when I would also see the algorithm favor me because a video would like get certain amount of views. 2 days later, it would then blow up, and I'm like, I've never experienced that. I was like, the algorithm picked up my video and spread it out there, and again, if it were not for Child's Play 2019, I think I don't think I'd be here.
Well, I think you'd. I mean, I think you'd still be here, but I mean, that's really cool. And I mean, my thing I've always learned is with YouTube, if I try to experiment myself on a
Yeah,
smaller scale, but for me, if I do
yeah,
something that the audience likes, I'm old school. If they like it, give them more.
yeah.
So, I think that's fine. So, does this change your direction at the time with YouTube? Are you
Oh, yeah.
saying to yourself, "Wait a minute, I think I can do this"?
Yeah, that's definitely what made me go, "Okay, this is something I could do." So I started experimenting with other news, and the also thing you'll notice is when you cultivate subscribers or viewers on a certain thing, sometimes they only wanna see that certain thing. I only want Chucky news. I only wanna hear about Chucky. And so, yeah,
This is a big jump for people too,
yeah,
you
exactly.
know,
So
a big hurdle to get over.
and, so I thought, "Okay, well, I gotta stay within the category." And I think Blumhouse was in the middle of their revitalization of Michael Myers. So I would talk a little bit about Michael and like Halloween Kills and things like that. And they would do decently, but not the big numbers I want. But it's the snowball effect. It's like you'll get 5 people here in this video, 5 people more, 5 people more, 5 people more. Eventually, through 10 videos, you've maybe gotten 100 people interested. And that's kind of what I learned is like you're gonna have to take the hit of the small, um, like it's gonna be small now, but if you keep going over time, you're gonna build them up. So it got to a point where it's like, well, I don't just I knew I didn't want to box myself in too. I didn't just want to be a horror channel because I do like horror, I do, but I have so many other interests and movies I want to talk about, superhero stuff.
Right.
And so I was like, I have to take the risk to make a Spider-Man update, a Batman update, or talk about these other things. And I have to know they're gonna do terribly. But if I keep going, they'll eventually snowball into a small audience, and so far that has worked for me. That is been really well. I have obviously movies I'm genuinely interested in. Like, one thing is I never just pick myself into a fan base I know nothing about. Like Star Wars, I enjoy a Star Wars movie, but I am not a Star Wars fan. Like, I'm not deep into the world. I can't fake a passionate video about like Luke Skywalker might be back, guys. Whoa. Like, I could never do that. So you won't really see much Star Wars talk on my channel. I'll talk about like a big thing that might happen. Like, they just announced the Mandalorian movie. So I was like, I'll mention my thoughts on that, but that'll be it. James Bond, things like that. So I'll stay in my lane of that, because that's obviously, you want to just talk about what you actually like.
Which, you hit on something that I also have dealt with and still kind of deal with. This may have been before you ever saw my channel, but CHH stands for Christian Hannah Horror.
Okay.
And I used to be just exclusively talking about that. And I came to a point to where I said, I got to be able to. I'm like you. Of course, I'm a big Jean-Claude Van Damme guy,
Ooh.
Stallone. Like, I'm all into
Oh
that
yeah.
stuff. But there would be times where I feel like I couldn't talk about it. And there was a moment where I was so burnt out and I felt so forced that I had to make a change. And that's why I changed my channel to Planet CHH, which is a play on Planet Hollywood. But everybody calls me CHH, so that's what I kept that.
Yeah.
But I gave myself the freedom and the ability to talk about other stuff as well, but it sounds like you kind of probably had that same. Was that a serious struggle? Did you ever have moments when that was going on where you actually didn't do those videos for a while? Or was it one of those moments where was it a back against the wall moment you were like, "Okay, this is good," but did you have the foresight to know, "I've gotta be
Yeah.
able to open it," or did you struggle for a while with that?
Uh, I, I I think honestly, like, if I really look back at everything, I feel so fortunate. There was just uh I was like a frog leap padding to one subject to another that would carry me to the next leap pad. And so, like, because I knew I had the foresight to know I can't stay on this child play stuff forever. I'm not gonna milk it to the point where I'm like, this is gonna be what's on the Blu-ray, guys, or maybe they'll make a sequel, like, where I just really go into like such a niche thing about this
You're
one
saying
thing
a
where I
whole
drive
lot
it to the.
about nothing in a video, which could
Exactly.
ultimately turn your fan base off of you.
Exactly. So I knew this is gonna end somehow. So I have to start thinking ahead. And yeah, it's hard, and you get pushback, and you'll get those comments where it's like, I just want this video, I want this, and I want that. And it's like, you just have to push through. And thankfully, I mean, it happened. But yeah, I can understand why some people just, they don't realize they have to change their niche, or expand it out until they've already boxed themselves in. And I wanted to be able to not have to box myself in.
Can you recall a time so far with your YouTube career that was like, I don't wanna say a golden era, because obviously you're right now is at the biggest point you are as a channel, but do
Yeah.
you remember a time, maybe a certain run of movies or something that was going on, whether it be Child's Play or maybe the Halloween films or something that you say, "I cannot miss right now," and everything you was doing like, have you had
It
those
was.
runs where it was just this is madness right now?
Yeah, definitely the Child's Play stuff, because I'll just never forget going, because literally that I'll just never forget. That's where I went from a guy who was just hobby talking to then being able to quit my job. Like that. That was always
Can we
that.
explore that? Can we
Yeah,
explore that?
yeah.
Can you
Go.
tell me that story, when that was and how that happened? And
So I remember the first time I made, because I think it was, you have to be 10,000 or 1,000 subscribers or whatever. And so
this
I've hit that threshold, but I was thanks to the Chucky talk is what helped me reach that threshold. And my first big check, or like amount I made a month, was like $800. And to me, mind
that's a
blown.
yeah.
For a guy who's living paycheck to paycheck in his own apartment, splitting bills, and was like, I had to choose carefully what I spent my money on, and this and that. That eight extra $800 a month made a huge difference. It made me like relax for that. And then it just built on from there. And then I made $1,000. And then so it was good for like a year, not even a year, like 6 months of like, this is nice. This is not quit my job nice, though. I can't live off 800 a month, but I could,
Sure.
that added that on top of what I was making my regular job. I was like, yeah, this is good. Um And that's how it was for like, I wouldn't say 8 months then. I was just like, this is sweet, this is nice, this is good. And once you have this other opportunity and at your job, they're treating you terribly. Because I was working at call centers, and call centers are, they just recycle people in and out. They don't care about you. They just want their quota. And if you can do that, that's good. And I had a way to talk. So I was good at my job, but I wasn't perfect at it. So I would get reprimanded a lot for little things. And I remember the day I quit, it was because they were like, "Oh, you didn't say this by the script, Chris. So we're not going to be able to count your commission here because you didn't follow this." And I was pissed, and I just I just walked out, and I was like, "I don't need this." And I went to YouTube. It was just, that to me will always be the height of that.
Yeah.
Other than that, it would be like, I don't know if you remember the movie Willy's Wonderland.
Oh, of course, Nick Cage. I'm
That
a big Nick Cage mark. Love Nick.
that that was a big one for me because I realized something there. I realized you don't just have to talk about the things that are popular to other people. There's ways you can get others excited and you create that stardom. So I got excited with Willy's Wonderland because big Nicolas Cage fan. I
Sure.
love Nicolas Cage. And when I heard the premise, that just sounded like an awesome premise. Him as a janitor, cleaning up, fighting these animatronics, love Chuck E. Cheese. I wasn't even that known into Five Nights at Freddy's, but I knew that sounded similar. So
Sure.
I did the angle of calling it a Five Nights at Freddy's ripoff. And that's something I had to learn too, is the way you angle a story, the way you present it to the audience is a big thing. And that got like all these animatronic fans into knowing about this movie. And then I switched it from calling it a ripoff to be like, I'm actually excited for this though, guys. I actually want to see what this is. I'm not trying to be mean to the movie. And that whole trajectory, I was the only one talking about it. It wasn't a thing anybody else could clump on and steal from me, because I had started that like snowball of fans getting excited for Willy's Wonderland. And I've never been able to find something similar to of that, where it's like just me and my friends know about this, but it's getting so many views. It was that
Yeah.
that was a crazy time for me.
And so while this is going on, as you're progressing, you're able to do this full time. Is that when do you start do you start getting better equipment or things like that?
Oh
Or do you
yeah.
try not yeah, I was gonna say, did you have to find was there a balance you had to find on just making good videos, keeping your content a certain level, but was there a moment where you're like, okay, this is where I need to step it up and I need to make myself a cut above everybody else when they
Mhm.
watch my video? Was there a moment you're like, this is I gotta
That's always, yeah. Even now, I'm like, even though I think everything is probably as good as it needs to be, because after a certain amount of quality, the audience I think doesn't care, especially if they're watching it for you. And if they're just
right,
watching it for my personality, after a watchable quality with a good camera, good audio, they don't care. But as a creator, you just like, no, I need a crispier mic. I need a cleaner
same,
camera. I need a
same.
better light. I need things
We're
like
trying to
that.
entertain ourselves
Yeah,
here.
exactly. So, yeah, there was a point, but I tried not to spend too much time on it, because at the end, the fan base, they only care a certain point, because sometimes you forget as a creator to think like a viewer. And so I would think about the other people I watch, and I'm like, do I care that much how his light looks or how their audio sounds? Like, they already sound good enough to me. If they got a even nicer mic, would I care that much to like, oh, I definitely got to
Right.
subscribe now? It's like you got to think to a point. It's just like, but yes, I did upgrade at that time, and I got like a better camera, a better mic, and some of that stuff I still use to this day. Yeah.
The set that you have now, what was the did you have a grand plan for that? Did you draw that? Because dude, to me, it's the Tonight Show set, and I say that as a massive compliment. I think it's to me, it's very eye pleasing. When I watch a video, I love it when I'm looking at the screen, I'm looking around, seeing what he's got. To me, that is the quickest way as a viewer for me to what's the word I'm looking for? To take you to
Yeah.
I like this guy. 'Cause look there, look what he's got there. Oh, that's cool.
And
Like,
that's
I like
exactly
that.
what happened when I saw your stuff. I was like, oh, he's big Freddy Krueger fan. He's a friend of
Yeah.
mine.
Tell me
So
about that. What was the how did you
yeah.
kinda plan out the, Tonight Show
Uh
set?
Mm, I think I've just always liked an organized kind of style, and I've like I guess I got that a lot from my mom, honestly. My mom's very like interior design knowledge or whatever. She just knows what matches with what and what looks good and all that. And so like I've just always had an eye of like, I want something pleasing to the eye when you look on, and very much like that. Like, I want, if you're clicking on my video for the first time, I want the things behind me to speak for what my interests are, what I'm like, and maybe that'll connect with you. Um, yeah, so it was always like that, and even now I'm like in the process of like in the next couple months maybe moving homes, and I'm worried about whether I should just copy what I have there or like go again and do something new, because then you'll also run into fans going, "I liked your old set better," or like, "I don't like this."
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
totally yeah. That'll be cool though. I think whatever you do will be really nice, you know. I like your style, and especially during that Halloween time where you redecorated
Oh
everything.
yeah.
It was dynamite, man.
Oh
It
yeah.
just
That,
looks
I've
good.
always just loved that. That just comes from like as a kid when you're in school and they decorate Halloween, or your favorite cartoon channels then start doing Halloween promos and all that. I want that vibe of like you come here and you feel cozy. It's kind of what I want.
So, you know, you strike me now as a guy that you're doing great. You're doing what you love, clearly. But let me ask you this. This is what you don't hear people that are full time kind of talk about. What are the stressors of being full
Oh
time?
man. And it's interesting because I've been thinking about it a little bit more lately, because I don't know how much you keep into the space, but you might have been seeing like other YouTubers were recently quitting or like saying they're stepping back and all that. I don't know if you were seeing any of that from any people online. But I was looking at that at some of the recent big creators that have been on the platform for a while, and they're like, "I'm stepping back, I'm saying goodbye," like Matt Pat from Game Theory and things like that. And you see all the comments of people going, "Wow, it must be really difficult to step away from a, not to say I'm making seven figures, but them like seven-figure job and all this, and like just having to get up, talk to a camera real hard, like big job." And um, but it is true. There's such an anxiety factor to making videos, because I can't even have like the satisfaction of enjoying a video once I post it, because my mind immediately goes to what's the next video? What's the next thing I got to do? And even more being dedicated to the news, I sometimes get anxiety of leaving the house, of like going out to the grocery store, going to see family that's like an hour away. Because if right now they announce this guy's playing Freddy Krueger and this movie's coming out, I'm
You
like,
gotta
I
get
have to
on it.
get to my camera and my desk, and I have to formulate thoughts that sound original, unique to myself, and not like I'm not just trying to force out a sentence so I can get this video made. So there's an anxiety about that. I've gotten better over it. It was really bad once the channel blew up, and I had then a fan base I felt like I had to cater to. Now I can let like 2 or 3 days go by where I don't make a video, and I'm like, it's okay, it's fine. The audience will still be there.
Mhm.
But there's definitely the anxiety of like staying relevant is what I deal with, of like, man, any because I don't think what I do is that unique other than my personality, right? Like what I do isn't, sorry, got a friend call.
That is
Wha-
unacceptable. I'm just kidding. You know what's crazy? I feel like what you just said is probably something that I gotta remind myself too, especially when trying to, uh, if there's something news related, especially A Nightmare on Elm Street or anything like that for sure, but like you said, I don't bring anything else besides being myself, and I think that's the most important thing, right?
yeah.
Because you don't have Chris, you don't have to be first if we
Yeah.
find out a new Elm Street film's coming. You've gonna people are gonna watch it because they wanna hear what you say. Do you I feel like
I
that's
get
the
what you
truth.
mean. Yeah.
They may not be looking at you necessarily to break the news because most people are gonna see it as soon as they open up their phone
Yeah,
in one
it's
way or
true.
anyway, but I feel like people, and this is a good thing, that they wanna hear what you have to say. And you still probably will you probably break the
Yeah, he's
news to a
going.
good portion of your audience,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's something you can probably
That is
that
something I
probably can
had to
let you go to
learn.
sleep easy at night, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely what helped me, like, be like, I can wait a few days. Like, right now, there's a couple of things that have passed a couple of days, like, Neff Campbell made some comments about Scream. I like all that,
I saw that.
and,
I
like,
saw
I
that.
could have 2 years ago, me would have just jumped the hour that came out and made a video and this and that. But now, like, it's a couple days have gone by, and once we're done with this interview is when I'm gonna like finally make
And
the video, pull out my thoughts. Because yeah, you're right. Like, thankfully, I've gotten to the point where people care about my opinion on the situation, and even though there's already 3 or 4 or 5 other videos out there of people giving their opinion, I know my audience, most of my audience, will come to hear my thoughts, and that does feel nice. But
it's a good feeling.
I don't want to let that slip away from like the edge I had of like, come on, I gotta be there for them because after a certain time they just don't care anymore. News gets, they're talking about the next thing. It's like, oh, you're barely talking about that now.
How important is it to you to implement other social media platforms? Do you
It
and do you use those other I'm sorry, but do you
oh,
use
go ahead.
those other social media platforms? I try to use other social media platforms to basically say, "Hey, go to my YouTube channel." Is that
That
kinda how you operate?
So that's how I saw TikTok when that first came about. TikTok, it's crazy to think that thing is like maybe like 5 years old now in terms of like people using it for content instead of just dancing or musically or whatever it was before. But that's how I saw TikTok. It's like I saw it emerging, I saw people getting views and stuff like that. And while most people were like, nah, it doesn't seem like a platform to earn money or anything like that, I saw it as a way like it's literally finds audiences for you.
Right.
What I didn't know is it would be really hard to get the people from there to jump onto YouTube and watch me there. That's because like now I've gotten more followers on TikTok than I do on YouTube, and I'm like, you guys can
Are
see a
you even
longer.
trying on TikTok, or is it just happening easy for you?
I think I got in easy because I started early, and when you started early, it was so easy to get followers then.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
I have like a core base that I got early. Now it's really difficult. It's gotten kind of difficult for me to
I'm
like do it because there's
struggling, man.
so
I'm
many other people
struggling.
out there. And
Yeah.
and with TikTok, there's a real like how do I say it? I don't want to say phony, but there's a real like way you have to go about it if you want to grow on it. Where it has on YouTube, it's about my personality, my charisma, my shine. On TikTok, it's kind of become more of like I'm a robot finding the information and giving you a sliver of my thoughts on it. Can't be too controversial, can't be too this because people, as soon as they hear something they don't like, or even a half second pause longer than they expect, they scroll. And
Going.
so it I do like adapting to it, but like I'm terrible at Instagram. I think you have a good Instagram account that you probably grow really well. I'm terrible at posting on Instagram. Twitter, I try tweeting out, but I'm just not that good at that as
Yeah, yeah.
well. Um,
I mostly
so
snipe on Twitter. I don't post a lot. I just kinda look at all the madness on
yeah,
there.
exactly. So some of it, yes, it's important social media to it because that's how I feel like you cultivate audiences to your main platform. Or it's also just a way to stay relevant in terms of, hey, I'm here. Even if you haven't seen any of my long form stuff, I'm still here. I'm still doing
Yeah.
stuff. I exist. Yeah.
What are you into? What do you collect? Are you into physical media as
Uh,
well, or are
I
you
do
into
collect physical media. I had to go to just horror DVDs, horror 4Ks and stuff like that, just because I can only pick one thing to hoard in my house, and if I
right.
collect all the movies, then that would be bad. But even now, I'm sadly I'm losing my love for Funko Pops. It's not as as fun as it used to be.
Yeah.
After the pandemic, the company made some weird changes and did some. They're just not making as interesting stuff. The horror pops, though, I love. Like I got a whole section over there. So I honestly think when I move houses, I'm gonna slow down on pops in general. But I've always been a collector guy. I loved collecting things as a kid, and I don't know.
Yeah. So with Funko Pops, is there for me, it's like I don't really collect them, but like every now and again they'll do something like they did the
Yeah, that's how they get
remember
you.
I don't know if you're around. I'm 31. I don't know if you're close to my age or a little bit
29.
older. Okay, so yeah, you're same ballpark as me. When I was a little kid, I used to get those little chicken nugget buddies, the toys, and so they did Funko Pops of them. And when they announced it, I went nuts.
Oh,
I had to get
you
them.
had to get them.
They did Halloween
Oh,
chicken
yes,
nugget,
yes, I've seen those. Yeah,
so I got the
that's how they
Dracula
get
one.
you. They tell every fan base they'll eventually create something you like, and, like, they're also, like, the only ones making stuff for some horror movies, like, there's no company making Leprechaun action figures or toys, but they have Leprechaun Funko Pops,
Funko Pops, yeah.
and all the Chucky ones they have and all these other so, like, that's the ones I think I'll definitely keep whenever it comes down to, like, getting rid of these. It's fun, and it's also I also worry about it looking sad after a while because I plan to do YouTube and all this for a long time, and I don't know how it looks at 35, and I'm still like, "These little plastic pops." I don't know. I worry about that sometimes. I
Yeah.
never wanna
I
be
oh,
like the creepy guy on there.
believe me, I hear you. That's why I'm kinda glad, like, I'm into movies and stuff because I was like, "Well, old people watch movies."
Yeah,
It's a
exactly. That is
uh,
too because that pops up too. It's like, what are you influencers gonna do when you're 50? I'm like, I could technically still be doing this if people care to hear me.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I wanna ask you about this, man, because I don't feel like enough people that are on the caliber of you really are asked this on a forum like this, but what do you say to people like me that are, I'm doing all I can to grow my channel to something I can be really proud of, and I am very proud of what I have accomplished. But what would you say to somebody like me who I grow, I kind of grow, I say slowly. I've really started to implement using the shorts, which I'm really starting to get a
I need to get into shorts because my subscriber growth has gone terribly. I used to average 15, maybe 10,000 subscribers a month. Uh and since they started really introducing shorts, that has gone down. I get maybe like 2 or 3,000 new subscribers a month, which to me is like that's not a rate I want to grow at because I would love to hit a million someday or something higher.
Oh, you will. I think
And
you get it within 2 years. Within
and
2 years, you'll
shorts
get it.
is like the way to go if you want subscribers. But the issue with that again though is
I'm
people
trying
who
to
subscribe
cross-pollinate them. It's tough. It's
they'll
tough.
watch your short form content and they'll be there for it. But then when you post a long form video, it's like, well, I got 50,000 views on this. Why is it only 10,000 on this long form? It's so hard to cross pollinate.
Yeah.
That's the issue. I mean, yeah, if for subscriber growth, shorts, I definitely recommend to. I guess it's just harder for me because I'm like, I don't want to just post shorter versions of what I do because that's what I do on TikTok. Like if I make a video on some news update, I'll find a way to stretch it out to 8 minutes, giving you my thoughts and really getting in detail about it. While on TikTok, I'll do the 60-second version of that and just condense it down to just the important details and my quick thoughts and send that out. I feel like that's counterproductive than to upload that on YouTube Shorts because it's like, well, I could just watch the 60-second version of this
Mhm.
video.
Yeah.
So I haven't figured out how to make that. But like for you, it's just always tough with all that. Like I have your channel off here to the side and stuff like that, looking at it. And like you do great things in terms of like, reviewing a lot of like physical media and stuff like that. It's just about
All I know how to do, Chris, this is the truth, man. All I know how to do is just try to grind as hard as possible.
yeah.
I have a job where I work 12-hour shifts, so I work 4
Oh
days a
man.
week. It's not that bad. You get used to it, but I have days off during the week, which is crucial. And like today is the day when I get done with this, we're both going back to work. I'm gonna
Yeah.
film some more stuff and I'm gonna try to get stuff done. That's all I know how to do, man. And I know that there's no secret formula. I know that. I'm assuming
That's
that's the
hard.
answer, right? It's just
Yeah, that's
just
the hard part. It's like I was the same, always thinking, what is the formula? What is the secret thing you do that made it go? And it's just hard to say with everything. And even like, because I don't want to be one of those people that say, physical media is dying, because I don't think so. But I think it's harder and harder to like reach that niche of people out there, uh, and whatnot. But you do other stuff that's really good. Like I like your retro reviews when you go into the older movies and stuff like that. But even
yeah.
that is something I like. I know I'll have an excuse to like maybe review the Nightmare on Elm Street movies if they ever make a reboot. But I felt like right now, if I just gave you my thoughts on it, there wouldn't be much of a reason for people to watch because it's like, well, why is he talking about this now? Like, yeah, it's a great classic franchise, but
Right. In
it's
time, yeah, yeah. You
people
have to
want like a
balance the
reason
timing
for
of
you to
stuff.
read for like watch. I don't know. It's really difficult to say. And but you have all the basics down though. I've gotten people who message me like, Chris, why isn't my channel blowing up? And you go to their channel and they have like no thumbnail, bad title, and their camera quality is like no good lighting. Like you have all the stuff down. It's just a matter of people finding you, and I think that's what will help you with with shorts and TikTok because there will
Yeah.
be some crossover. It's not going to be as much as you want, but there will be some people coming over.
Do you have any goals? Or are you living your dream?
Oh no, I definitely want to aspire to do more. Even now, I want to do more than just the movie news because in my mind, I feel like that's lazy content. I'm like, it's not that cool, that creative to just say this movie's coming out, this is the plot, and this is the cast. I think it looks good, guys. Like I'm like, I need to be doing more. I don't want to feel lazy with my content and all that. So like I have dreams to like do short films. I would love to like create my own little movie and whatnot. But I am I'm so scared to be judged about that. It's one thing to leave me a mean comment about my opinion on a movie, to then pour my heart and my sweat and all that into something creatively like that and get a mean comment, that would shatter me. That would be so
Was
different.
was that some let me ask you this real quick. Was that something that you had to adapt? Because obviously, I don't care who you are. Jesus Christ could have a YouTube channel
Oh,
with the
that's
subs
true.
you have, and he's gonna get mean
Yeah.
comments. Was that something that you At your size, you can't look at all your comments anyway, right?
Not anymore, unfortunately. No, I'll look at the top 30 of every video, but I can't look at every single one. Yeah, I mean, I always knew going in there was gonna be people that were gonna be mean and rude, and for the most part, I let that slide. But every now and then, there's like almost sounding like a disappointed father comment of like, I watched you for several years, and I can't believe you said this, and I think you lost this. Like, I don't know, like it feels when they're being sincere are the
That's when it
actual
hurts.
comments that hurt me. The ones that say, "Oh, you're fat, you're dumb, you're stupid," those come, like, those come and go. Those are fine. It's the ones that sound almost sincere, like they're actually disappointed, are the ones that actually hurt me.
Do
But
you
other
ever
than
try
that,
to talk to those people, reach out to them, or do you
yes, and
feel
I need to
if I
not.
was
Yeah,
is
I
this
need to not. I don't do it as much. My policy used to be kill them with kindness. So if they say something mean that did hurt me, I'll just say like a nice thing back, with like a kiss emoji or something, just to rattle them up. But
Mhm,
like lately, I don't know why I do want to like argue back and stance, and I'm like, it's just feeding into it. You need to not do that.
mhm. Yeah. Chris, man, I don't wanna keep you too much longer.
No, no,
I
fine,
really
fine.
appreciate you, I really appreciate you, giving me your time, and, like I said, man, I've never seen you talk about your YouTube journey before, and
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you have, but, it's just cool to get a peek behind the curtain because I think your channel is really I mean, you got that kinda channel to me where it's like the information of what's going on to me, it's just fun watching your
thank you.
videos
That
because
means a lot.
they look so incredible, and, like, you're the only guy I've ever seen that's done I say it legitimately as come
That's so nice. Thank you.
The Tonight Show set, I just think
The
is
nice
so
show.
cool,
That's so
and,
funny.
I wanna say
Thank
too,
you.
I see your sweatshirt, I did not think I was gonna love that movie as
Oh, it
much
was
as I
great.
did.
And see,
Man,
that's
it
another thing of why I love what I do, because maybe sometimes I'm overly optimistic or positive, but I was someone always rooting for this movie when it got announced. And I remember when I first made a video on it, they were like Seth Rogen, and I got all the comments going like, "Oh, he's gonna make it about weed jokes. It's gonna be stupid." And I'm like, "Well, in the time of the Spider Verse, and Seth Rogen's done good work here and there." I loved when this movie came out and people hit me with, "You were right. It was actually gonna be a good movie," even though it could have sucked and I could have been completely wrong. But that is what's fun sometimes. It's putting people on a movie or something that like you're hoping will be good, and then you build this fan base to like get excited for. I'm glad you liked it though. I really loved it.
oh, dude, I remember when I didn't see it in theaters for one reason or another. I don't go to the theaters a
Right.
whole
Yeah.
lot because I kinda gotta drive. My theater sucks, but,
Oh yeah.
I remember when I got the 4K of it, and first of it looked gorgeous, but
Oh
man,
yeah.
like, that 3D or that whatever kinda style of animation that is, dude, it's
Hmm.
breathtaking,
It
and
really is.
Baxter Stockman was creepy as hell, look, it was just great, man, and the music
Yeah.
was kinda like some of the lyrics in the songs, I remember, like, I was like, "What is this movie
And the kids,
rated?"
a Nickelodeon movie? What?
Dude,
Yeah.
it was dynamite. I thought it was the best Ninja Turtle movie probably since Turtles Forever that came
Turtles.
out in, like, 2000
Oh
whatever. It was
wow.
just really I loved it, man. I'm a diehard Ninja Turtle kid my
Same. Yeah,
whole
see,
life,
that's
so
something you gotta bring up on the channel, man. Did you talk
yeah.
about it? Or is it just something in heart?
I talked about it when
With
I
the
showed
4K?
off the movie, the 4K,
Oh,
so but,
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
like, I'm into like I can't wait to do a video on this, the Mario Brothers movie from '93, the crazy one. I ordered this umbrella release, and it comes with a
Oh, yeah.
magazine, 4K of the movie, it comes with mushrooms, pajama
Oh,
pants, like, all I
all
can't
that.
wait.
Whoa, that's
Maybe not
awesome.
pajama pants, but it was from Umbrella. It's a company, I think it's a UK physical media company, but it comes with film cells, it's when I
Oh,
was a
wow.
kid, that movie, I thought I almost after a while, I thought, like, I dreamt that movie because it's such a fever dream.
Yeah.
You know, it's so insane, and, I'm excited about that, but yeah,
That's awesome.
I allow myself to talk about those kinds of things now, and
Yeah.
I'm a lot happier, but you know what it really is, Chris? It's not even like, if you're in a mood to talk about horror a lot or whatever, I think that's fine, but knowing you've got the ability
Oh,
to say, "Oh, I can go talk about this tomorrow if I want." That's what gives me the biggest peace of mind
mm.
rather than saying, "Oh, I wish I could talk about
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z." That was my biggest hurdle to get over, and
I get
so
you. No,
I
you're
finally
doing great
did.
though, man. You're doing great. I really think you should keep pushing it and all that. How you find any success on TikTok and all that when you were?
What brought me to the dance in a small way was my Elm Street collection. I got, like, I got like 4,000 followers pretty quick, just showing
Oh,
my
that's
stuff, which is, which is great. But then again, I said, well, I kind of have shown off all my Elm Street stuff. So I try to start doing other stuff. And my big thing right now is weird mysteries behind movies and stuff like that, and stuff that went on, like little tidbit weird stories that like maybe Toby Hooper talked about. Like there was a story about Toby Hooper when he made Texas Chainsaw. He was home in Texas and he recalled this woman coming up to him and saying, "Thank you for making a movie about the tragedy that happened here." And he's like, "What do you
oh,
mean? This wasn't based. It's not based on a true story. We just said that to sell the
yeah.
movie more." And she said he said he looked at her. This was on one of the old documentaries. He said the woman looked at her and said, "How dare you? I know what happened here. I lived it." And so I'm doing shorts and telling stories about that, and I'm finding success there on the YouTube short end, more so than the TikTok end. But I also
Mhm.
I did a little research. I read that on TikTok, whenever you upload, exit out the app and pull it off, like,
It That's
and
happened to
it'll
me too, where it's like you can't watch your video grow or else it doesn't grow. It's like trying to watch the clock move faster or something. It's so strange. I've heard that phenomenon too, and I feel like I've witnessed it too. Where like if I stay on the app as it's happening, it's not gonna grow.
yeah.
But if I ignore it and come back to it an hour later, it might do.
Yeah, but but I'm happy right now, Chris, because and I don't want to make this about me, but the
No,
stuff that I am talking about on the because my short section, for better or worse, it's almost like a different kind of channel, but it's still in the
oh,
same vein of being me, but like I'm telling stories, I'm talking about, like here's another thing I talked about today. I don't know how familiar you are with me. I am a full moon horror guy. Charles Band's World Puppet Master, die
love
hard.
Puppet Master. I'm not a big fan of what they do recently, but I
Oh, no, no,
love
no. No, like, I'm dude, the early days of Full Moon, forget about it. That
Glory
was
days.
the
I know what you're talking
glory
about then.
days.
Yes.
Charles Band told this story. I did a short on this today, and they're doing good, Chris. And it makes me happy because I'm enjoying it.
Oh.
Charles Band told this story. See, obviously you've seen Puppet Master. In the
Yo. Oh.
beginning of Puppet Master, there's this beautiful shot of this hotel at the end of a hill, and then it's the ocean. That was a model that was created. That wasn't a hotel. It
Oh,
was a model. They
model.
shot the interiors at a different hotel altogether.
Yeah.
As a kid, I thought, okay, that's the Bodega Bay Hotel that exists somewhere. Charles Band told the story that creeped me out. He said, "We created the model of the Bodega Bay for the movie, and years later, we're filming another film, and this mysterious guy comes up to me, and he hands me a picture of the Bodega Bay, but it's a completely different angle, which couldn't exist because we built a half of a frame. We built a section of a hotel as a miniature." But this guy showed me a picture of my hotel from a different angle, and he goes, "I've lived there for years." And then he wanted to look at the picture again, and Charles said the guy disappeared. And he goes, and Charles says, "I wish I would have kept that picture because he's like, the skin on the back, my hair stood up
Oh,
because this is impossible. But this was my hotel that we created from a different angle. I have no idea how this guy has a picture
wow.
of this. This hotel doesn't exist." And I told that story, and I'm having a blast with that.
Oh,
So I'm happy. My shorts have actually revitalized my love for creating
stuff like
videos.
that?
Not that
That's
I
awesome.
don't necessarily get burnt out, but
No.
when you're in the thick of it and you're just
Yeah,
grinding,
I get you.
it gets not necessarily mundane, but man, you wear yourself out just on a physical stance. But doing these shorts, man, I get these little ideas where I'm driving and I remember this. I'm like, I want to tell that story in
That's
60
awesome.
seconds or less. So I'm having
Yeah,
fun with that.
yeah.
So that's actually been a big breath of fresh air to me doing the
That's
shorts game.
awesome, man. Well, I'm good. I'm happy for you, man.
If you get into that, Chris, forget about it. I mean, you'll have a million subs
I
by
I'll
in a
watch
year.
it. I watch. I just gotta figure out what'll be on my shorts, and then that's just, stretching myself thin, trying to figure out long form video, a TikTok, and then a short. It just
Where
sometimes I
did the
wish I could figure out how these other creators got a team. Sometimes I'll see these other creators who have employees, editors, all that. I cannot figure out how to do any of that for the life of me. I've tried hiring an editor, tried to hire someone to help me, and it just never goes well for me. I end up just saying sorry, but I gotta let you go. I can't do this.
Oh, so you have that's another thing. You've actually explored trying to get
I've tried
help.
to. I've put out, I've tried going to like, I don't know, like Reddit. There's editing forums and stuff. So you put out like, hey, I would like to get an editor for this, and you try it out, and you just can't find someone that has the same rhythm you do, or like, because also I bet you do this too, where you're talking on camera and you think I'm gonna edit this in whenever I go to editing.
Sure.
And it's like they're not inside your mind to know that and things like that. And I look at all those other creators who have like a team behind them, and I'm like, I wish I could figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting though that I wouldn't have assumed you were a one-man show
Oh yeah,
exercise, but
I'm all me. So I do the editing, all that stuff, and
yeah. Well,
spend
you
too
do
many
to
hours.
me, yeah, I think if you could find somebody that they just need to study your channel, I think, I don't
Yeah.
know if maybe you've told them, I'm sure you have, but it's just like, "Hey, watch these 10 videos, get a sense of what I am." Well, hopefully that works out for you because then you can just create more,
Yeah,
but
that would
dude, I can't tell you what to do, obviously, but I'm
No,
telling you, if
dude,
you
no.
got into the shorts game,
There's
Chris, if you got into the shorts game on a regular basis, forget about it.
I
Forget
need to, I
about it.
need to.
This is the last thing I wanted to ask you.
Yeah,
I found this really clever, and I don't know if you created this or not, but when
okay.
I saw it, I was like, "This rat bastard, like, what a way to make me click on his video." When you review horror films
Oh,
specifically, you'll put Halloween Kills is dot 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 dot
okay.
review. Where did that
So
come from? At first I was like, "Wait a second." Then I was like, "You know what? He's really good." No, don't get me wrong, because I watched your
no,
stuff,
and
but I
as
said to
soon as
myself, "He's really gonna make me watch this goddamn review." Like, what a
I
brilliant
do
son
it
of a
all for
bitch.
all reviews now. Well, like all regular reviews. If I do like a retro review about an old movie, I'll try to spice up the title differently. But that came from, like I was telling you, I would just do reviews. I would say whatever it was, Ghostbusters 2016 review, whatever. And they just would never get views. I was like, why do they care about watching me? And so, like, when I finally built a small audience from the Chucky videos and the small updates here and there, I would still make reviews and they would still do terribly. And I'm like, why are these reviews doing bad when I have an audience watching me now? Like, and so I stopped for like a year reviewing movies where I'm like, I'm doing fine with just the updates. I don't need to be reviewing movies anyways. I don't, that's fine. There's already enough people reviewing movies. And then one day, the Tom and Jerry movie came out on HBO Max. I don't know if you remember, they came out with a Tom and Jerry movie just a few years back. And I love
Yes,
Tom and Jerry. Watched them
classic.
as a kid. So I was like, you know what? That's something I know there's a fan base for. I grew up with Tom and Jerry. Let me watch it. And I was so like, I guess I was disappointed in the movie. And I was like, let me just try something different. And so I put Tom and Jerry is dot dot dot. And I was like, what if they don't know this is a review, parentheses review? So um and that video, for some reason, that review was like a game changer for me. I was like, just titling it like this makes all the difference for people to click. I didn't change anything about my format, about how I went about reviewing the video. I didn't change anything about like, well, I guess I got slightly better in terms of talking to the camera since my old reviews, but that's all I did is just change that. And that was like a game changer for my reviews. And now my reviews do decently enough where I feel the effort to actually, go
Yeah.
watch the movie, cultivate a thought, and do all that. There is just something about the dot dot dot, or just that like,
Has
I guess.
anybody copied you at this point?
Oh yeah, I've gotten, and that's fine. I mean, I never want to be one of those people that like hurdles in the secrets, or that if you want to say is dot 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 as well, go ahead. I don't care. What I've seen is people go was they'll go, I don't know, Chucky was dot dot dot, and I'm like, okay, hope that works for you and all that. I was just lucky enough that I found that early, because I think, again, if I just titled my video, whatever, Night Swim review, I guarantee it would get 20% less views than if
Yeah,
I
because
did Night Swim is dot dot dot.
you got pretty good views on that.
Yeah, not
I was looking at that, and that was another thing I was gonna ask about was just like the thing with reviews is like, you really can't predict how good they're gonna do.
mm-mm.
Sometimes you'll be like, wait a minute, like wow, Night Swim, did Night Swim do better than you anticipated?
It did, for in my opinion. I was like, wow, Night Swim, that was like, I didn't even think anyone cared that much. And I think that's because I've also cultivated the horror fan, so they know, oh, he's a horror guy, so let me know what he thinks of
Sure,
a
sure.
horror movie. So that helped. But then it's also a thing where like I've picked and choose very a lot what movies I review now, where it's like that I'm starting to box myself in. People are now only watching my horror review, so when I review this thing, they won't watch it. So I need to do the snowball thing of like reviewing other things. So I reviewed The Beekeeper of the Jason
I
Statham
saw that.
movie, things
I
like
saw
that.
that.
Like, but I want to also stay in my lane because I'm like, I have no interest in the Mean Girls musical movie. And I know,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, so it's like I'm not gonna do a Mean Girls review, but like I do like action movies. I like Jason Statham. I have to do that. And that one did fairly decent for my channel, 30,000 views and stuff like that. But yeah, it's it is weird with reviews sometimes about what does good and what doesn't. Like sometimes, like especially during Oscar season, there are movies I'd love to review, but people don't take me, I guess, that seriously when it comes to like a hardcore movie opinion, which I understand. I'm a goofy guy.
Right.
So like when Iron Claw came out,
Oh, great
I
movie.
loved Iron Claw, and I wanted to do a review, but I just knew it would get like so little views on my channel because that's just not what people
Chris,
know
this
me
is
for.
Chris, this is where that shorts I did a short and it did good for me. I
Oh,
did a shorts review on that, man. I think that's what you could start doing that.
shorts on the oh maybe I could do that.
The movies that you say to yourself, I don't think people are gonna really I mean, because the movies that you're really convinced that you're gonna say, like, this is really out of left field for my audience, they might throw it on a short.
You know what? You're probably right.
Come
I'm gonna
on,
go watch
Chris.
Mean Girls now.
See, I wanna see you hit that 1 mil, man. I think
Thanks, man.
you're a good guy. I like you. So it's
Thanks. I
just I
appreciate it.
think you're gonna hit it, man, and, yeah,
I know.
I appreciate you, giving me the time to talk to you, and
Oh,
it's
I
just
had fun, man.
it was really cool, you know, when you responded back to me, and I was
Oh
just like,
yeah.
"Really?"
No,
Like,
yeah,
he
dude.
it
There's
just
a
he
lot of
just
people I respect out there. Like I said, I love all the people in the movie community that are positive, that are just doing nice things, doing good. I hate the channels that are like are talking woke or just being negative all the time. Channels like you as people I want to stick to and be, you know, at least acquaintances or friends with and stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
Just because I feel like y'all bring positive energy into the community.
But yeah, why otherwise, why else do it? Uh,
Exactly.
Chris, man, congrats to all your success.
Thank you,
I
man.
appreciate it. I know the audience I know the audience appreciated it too, and, who knows, maybe down the road we'll do something again, man, but
Oh yeah, I'm down.
yeah, it was really cool, and for the audience, thank you guys for watching, and, I hope you enjoyed 3C Films. Go check him out. He's a big deal. He's the big man on campus, and I can't wait to see what he does next. So thank you guys for watching. It's your old pal CHH, and me and Chris will holler at you guys later. Take care. Huge giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.